Hello and welcome to Peak Streaks, the podcast where we answer the question, what is the greatest 3-episode run of some of the greatest shows in TV history?
And that's right, Dan. Welcome to part 3 of our Breaking Bad 3-episode streak. We started our Breaking Bad run with Ozymandias, and then last episode was Granite State. And here we are, the 3rd episode of the streak, which actually just happens to be the finale of Breaking Bad. So the peak of Breaking Bad, as determined by your giant machine.
Magic algorithm, yep.
Yes, was that the peak of Breaking Bad just happened to be the last 3 episodes of the
Yep.
series.
They went out on top, they saluted, said, we're done here. Off they went.
They kind of did, like you've talked about it, Dan, that the show really just kind of goes along like a freight train that's just sort of barreling. Would it be uphill or downhill?
I guess you technically barreled downhill, but that doesn't sound very peakish, does it?
No.
I think it's climbing. I don't know. I'm not sure the analogy completely works there, but anyway.
Well, we will talk about the finale of Breaking Bad in the episode and whether this was the peak and whether they ended it going out, in a perfect way.
Yep. And then, of course, at some point, I may be getting ahead of myself here, but at some point we'll have to work out what we're going to do next. But
yes, that's right. Yeah, what on earth can we do next? What's the next TV show that we want to discuss and fight and determine the peak of? And I was actually having a bit of a think about this, Dan, as I was driving home. We've done Lost, right? That's where we started this thing. We just wanted to have a bit of a fight over the top 10 episodes of Lost, and that really gave us an appreciation for Damon Lindelof. But we also recognized that he had some challenges in that show. There were some issues, but then when we moved on to Watchmen, it was actually really interesting to see him deal with some of those issues, deal with some of those criticisms. So I would say tick to Damon Lindelof being a bit of a creative genius. We really, really like everything he does. But then we did get to spend some time with Alan Moore, who definitely a problematic genius.
Yes.
Bit of an asshole.
But a wizard as well.
Yes, a wizard, a magician, and apparently fond of leaving really friendly notes to people in books. So I couldn't quite pin him down. I'm still giving him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
But that took us to here to Breaking Bad, to Walter White, another definitely a genius, definitely an asshole. Definitely toxic, definitely an awful person. And I was just sort of thinking, and then I saw the other day, I was like, ooh, that Chevy Chase special it's out recently. I haven't seen that. I'm going to check that out.
Yep.
So let's just let that stew, shall we?
We can sit on that for a bit, but I think I see where we're going here.
Yeah. But why not? Let's talk about. We're here to talk about Felina, the final episode of Breaking Bad, the ending of the streak. Before we do homework, I didn't have any homework this week. I was a good boy. Dan, did you tackle any homework?
I did. I can't even remember under what circumstances I was asked to watch Toy Story 4, but you did ask me to watch Toy Story 4 at one point.
Yes, this was because Quentin Tarantino has declared that he will never watch Toy Story 4 because the first 3 are so good.
Yep.
And because I've seen Toy Story 4 so many times, it bothers me because I actually think it's quite a good, I find there's so many interesting things at play that they can keep that franchise interesting. So, and there's a 5th one coming out this year.
Yeah,
so
this
Dan,
is what I hear.
Love to hear your thoughts.
Well, I'm not a Toy Story connoisseur, right? So there are plenty of franchises which I know in and out and in great depth. Toy Story isn't one of them. I watched the first movie when it first came out, mostly because of, the gimmick of, this was done on a computer, if you can imagine such a thing.
Yeah. Yep.
And then I watched that, and I probably watched that one a couple more times with a nephew or a niece at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't really watch the second or third until many, many years later.
Right.
And mostly just to see, what was all the fuss about. And there's okay, yeah, they're perfectly serviceable and they're good, they're fine, very entertaining, but
serviceable. People get very upset when you talk about the third one.
Anyway, they perfectly good. I had no real problems. Sure. And similarly, I had Toy Story 4 on the list after it came out. I said, I'll get around to that at some point. But it wasn't, without this homework, I'm not sure when I would have actually got around to it. But I was a good boy. I did my homework.
Yeah.
And I just have to say, I was impressed that after the first three and, the kind of trilogy of adventures,
Mm.
Pixar basically in Toy Story 4, they just got around to examining the kind of the logical implications of toy sentience. And,
Yes.
and, and I like that they had the courage to just briefly peer into the existential abyss they created. So you got
Yes.
Forky, this discarded spork who's given life
Yes.
by the addition of googly eyes and pipe cleaner arms.
Yeah.
Like he didn't ask to be created, and his immediate response to it is to go, "Nah, I'm chucking myself in a bin. I don't
Yes.
want to be alive." It's like dark stuff. Uh,
It is. It's incredible. They go to some incredible areas, and the more you watch it, you just can't. You just sort of dwell on it, and then Woody's like, "Well, I'm responsible for this life,
yeah,
and giving him meaning in his life, and
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
amazing."
was just like, "Whoa, what is going on here?" And
Yeah,
then it kind of segues into a more traditional Toy Story thing,
yeah.
dealing with kind of Woody's indignity at being demoted in the playtime hierarchy, and then but yeah, for a while, like Forky's kind of dark yearning to be returned to the soulless void from which he was concocted, that spoke to me. Like there needed to be much more of that. I really enjoyed that bit. Can't wait to see what they do in Toy Story 5.
Well, I think Toy Story 5, if you're listening to this, and it's already come out, well, that's that. But currently we have a trailer which really is just about the young girl Bonnie gets a screen.
All right.
So I'm hoping it's deeper than that,
Yeah.
because they obviously, they took their time getting around to a fourth,
Yes.
and it always makes me think that they're sitting there having a really good think about it, and even the like the villain of this one, they do some interesting things there where
Yep.
they ultimately, try and help her get her voice back and
I like the
things like that.
ventriloquist dummies too. They were creepy.
Oh, terrifying!
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves, great, fantastic. Yes.
Keanu was amazing. That was the best character in the whole thing, I think.
Yes. Yep. Was he Captain Boom, the Canadian?
Yep.
The fact they made him a Canadian
Yep.
Daredevil, it's wonderful. So
Yep.
there you go. I think it's got the ringing endorsement. Toy Story 4. If you haven't gotten around to it, give it a go. But we are here to talk about Felina. This
Mm.
is season 5, episode 16 of Breaking Bad. I'll
Yep.
give you the IMDb description. Walter returns to Albuquerque to tie up loose ends, setting the stage for a final confrontation. Meanwhile, Jesse fights for his freedom as everything comes to a dramatic conclusion. Now, Dan, that's just the generic
Yeah.
IMDb description. I'd love to hear your summary if I could, please.
All right, here we go. Walt returns to Albuquerque fully aware that there's no time left to muck about with dramatically satisfying setbacks. So instead successfully deploys a plan so elaborate it would embarrass a Bond villain. Starting with the ludicrous conceit that Badger and Skinny Pete are ruthless hitmen, Walt effortlessly ties up all lingering plot threads in a tidy bundle of narrative macrame that encompasses terrorizing Elliot and Gretchen, farewelling Skylar and the kids, and poisoning Lydia's tea. With time running out in the episode, series, and his cancer-riddled life, Walt then uses an automated M60 machine gun in his car boot to shoot most of the remaining Nazis on the show, leaving just Todd to be successfully strangled by Jesse, Leia on Jabba the Hutt style. Walt taps out, but not before riding in blood on the meth lab tanks. Coming this fall on AMC, Better Call Saul.
Very good. That's I love that. I'll save it. I was going to ask you about the fate of Todd, and we'll speculate on that a little bit later. Thank you for setting that up, Dan. This episode, as I love this tradition. I cannot think of any more right now, but it's the final episode, so the creator has writing and directing duties. So that would be Vince Gilligan. Who that's a list I'd love to put together one day. The creator of the series that sort of takes the reins on the big season opener and the season finale.
Yeah.
There's probably lots of great examples, but
There's not many that write and direct though, is there? Maybe there is. Maybe there's more than I'm just trying to think.
Well, Vince Gilligan, definitely a writer, director, done a little bit of directing in his time. I thought I'd have a quick look because if you remember in the last episode, we covered Peter Gould and his terrible, like this man, this absolute genius who's responsible for Better Call Saul and so much good Breaking Bad who'd made this terrible Meet the Parents knockoff back in 2000 called
Yep.
Meeting Daddy. And then Jack Bender, who just an absolute legend in the TV industry, and his only film credit is Child's Play 3, the worst of the Chucky films. So I was like, what? I think we know Vince Gilligan's history though, like the
Yeah.
X-Files. I'm sure
Yeah.
you're across all that, Dan. He only wrote and directed 2 episodes, but he's got like 30 teleplay credits. I
Mhm.
guess if you're responsible for, like, say, show running or the
Yeah.
law, you've probably written some outlines and then you farm them off to other writers. So he's got I think he's quite responsible for like the back half of the sort of the X-Files
Mm.
world. And then he had a hand in creating the Lone Gunman
Yes.
series. Were
Yep.
you a big,
No.
imagine you,
No,
no?
I didn't even watch the X-Files. Like I
Really?
might have watched a couple of episodes in my life, but that's about it.
Yeah,
It never
right.
really got into it.
It was a weeknight high school shit. I was
Yeah.
on, high school, you'd watch that. I really got into the Lone Gunman, but there was so that was Vince Gilligan's sort of special project here. We want to create a spin-off. And are you aware of the Lone Gunman or the concept?
I just know the general conceit. I do think it's a great title. The idea that the
Yes.
lone
Yeah.
gunman, like the plural gunman in there with lone, just delicious. Chef's kiss. Well
Yes.
played.
Yeah. And of course it's, these are these three guys were sort of, shut in conspiracy theorists
Mm.
that thought the government was up to no good. And it's incredible to look back on now because a lot of the stuff they joked about is now true.
Yeah.
It's since come to light.
Yep.
But they added a fourth lead
Mm.
for that series, for the spin-off series, right? You only need a new character. And it was played by Zalika Robinson, who would go on to play Ilana in Lost. So
Okay.
just everything
Yep.
is, if you look hard enough, everything is connected
And
to
that's your job on
Lost.
this show, to keep
That's
looking
right.
until you find it.
Yes, yeah. But one of the episodes that Vince wrote and directed was in season 9, episode 18. It's called Sunshine Days, and this is when Mulder and Scully had essentially left the show. So it's Reyes and Doggett investigate 2 murders revolving around a house that is essentially identical to the Brady Bunch house. That's what was happening in the X-Files. Got real, like, it was weird, but it got real weird towards the end. But
I really like the idea of X-Files in principle. I just never sat down and watched it. Like I'm sure I would have enjoyed at least half of the episodes if I could have been bothered to actually watch it.
Yeah, it's something I'd love to revisit one day. And would almost thought about, oh, I wonder when the peak was. But you know who the guest star was, the primary guest star of that Brady Bunch episode? It was Benjamin Linus himself,
Oh, really?
Michael Emerson. Yes, so he was the special guest star in that Vince Gilligan episode. Like I said, it just you peel one layer and it's another.
It all comes back.
It all comes back. But no, what I really wanted to get to was Vince's actual start, right? So before all the X-Files stuff, 1993, he writes a movie called Wild and Napalm. Have you heard of this movie, Dan? Did you ever rent this one day?
No, don't think I did. Was it
Back
a
in
Western?
No.
No.
It's just one of them quirky early 90s kind of quirky comedies.
Right. Okay.
It's a story. It's a guy, Wild and Napalm, played by Arliss Howard, who runs a car park toll booth and in small town America. He's married. Life is perfectly fine until one day the circus comes to town and they set up shop in his car park. They set up the circus in the car park. And the twist is that so Wild and Napalm, the twist is that his brother, played by Dennis Quaid, is one of the circus clowns.
Of course.
This, I promise you, this was not written by ChatGPT. This is a real movie. You could rent this. So Dennis Quaid is a circus clown, right? And he used to date Wilder's wife, right? So it's a quirky comedy.
Yep.
He's a clown and he's trying to win back the wife of his brother. So it's a love triangle, right? Yep. That's,
trying
pretty
to win
wacky.
Back his sister-in-law.
Yes, that is that is correct. And then there is one more twist. Both brothers have the ability to start fires with their minds. So
of course they do.
Just an added element, and it's a secret ability. Nobody knows this.
Yep.
And so while they're warring over the poor wife,
if I was in a circus and had the ability to start fires with my mind, that would be the thing I'd do. I wouldn't be a clown.
No, and I wouldn't be in a small town shitty silver circus. No. I'd find other ways to. So that I watched the trailer for. You can watch the trailer for it. It's on YouTube. Wild and Napalm. You can see all of the pyromancy fun. Love triangle there. Before that, actually, after that, sorry, Vince Gilligan. He wrote the movie Home Fries, which is a Drew Barrymore, Luke Wilson rom-com vehicle. No pyromancy
No,
in that one.
but was there
And then obviously,
smoldering heat between the starring couple?
yes, that's right. And then it's all X-Files. But actually, there's this weird bump. So between X-Files and the creating the Breaking Bad universe, one of the most beloved sort of worlds ever, he writes the Will Smith action comedy Hancock.
Oh, really?
Yes, this movie. Yeah, what's it? Will Smith plays the one man on the planet that's got superpowers, but he just happens to be a bit of a dick.
He's a drunkard and
Yeah. Yep. So he has a Hollywood sort of Passover rewrite of, and he's credited there as writing Hancock, and then after that, it's all Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, and now Pluribus. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's Vince Gilligan. Felina aired on the 29th of September 2013. Such a long time ago.
Yeah.
So that's when Breaking Bad ended. The Australian air date, the September 30th, 2013. This episode has a 9.8 rating on Breaking Bad.
As we record.
Yes, IMDb. As of this recording, a 9.8 rating on IMDb. It has not been
not been caught in the conflict.
Yes, the Game of Thrones fans have not touched Felina. And I thought I had a little quick look. Ozymandias still holding strong at a 9.5.
Okay.
Granite State 9.6, but Felina at 9.8 would equal first with Face Off. So these are now the two highest rated episodes of Breaking Bad. And it was watched by an audience of 10.28 million people tuned in the US to watch. Now, I can give you the Australian numbers, Dan, if you'd like.
Yeah. What are we saying? 100,000?
Well, before that, I've got a little bit of context for you. This is an article I found on the ABC. They've written this article. It's called Breaking Bad Finale Draws Record Ratings as Australia Tops Illegal Downloads. So...
yeah,
the final episode.
I'll raise my hand for that one.
Yes, the final episode of Breaking Bad drew the cult US television show's biggest ever ratings, but there were also more than 500,000 illegal downloads of the finale, with Australia topping the illicit rankings with nearly 1 in 5 copies viewed. While AMC, the cable channel which broadcasts Breaking Bad, will be happy with the ratings, they'll be less pleased at the number of people who watched the final episode through illicit means. The show was illegally downloaded more than 500,000 times within 12 hours of the first illegal copy appearing online, according to online piracy news website Torrent Freak. I love that Torrent Freak is sourced in an ABC article.
Yep, that's good stuff. I mean, in my defense, I did go out and buy the super expensive Blu-ray box set that came out the instant it went on sale. So
of course,
I think I have no moral qualms about being one of that 500,000 who downloaded it within the 12 hours.
Well, I did have Foxtel at the time, so I can say hand on heart I didn't download this one. So Australia, 18% of all downloads came from Australia, then the US, followed by Britain, India, and Canada. And I'll put this up on the socials, but they even made a nice little infographic so you could see the countries the worst. The worst of the worst.
We're a nation of convicts, man. What do you expect?
That's right. So a bit more context here. The record TV ratings were less than the biggest season finale of The Walking Dead, which drew 12.4 million, but more than twice the biggest audience for Mad Men, which drew 3.5. So those were a lot of the shows kind of going around at the time.
Yep.
But as we know, Felina and Breaking Bad would air at 10:30 on Showcase. So you'd have to wait until 10:30 at night, where 47,000 Australians tuned in to watch. 2 hours later, another 6,000.
Yep.
Over on 7, 300,000 people are watching a show called Mistresses. This is a new drama.
Oh, God.
You didn't watch this one, Dan?
What Mistresses is about? I don't
recall
watching this one.
This was an Alyssa Milano vehicle. Follows the scandalous lives of a group of 4 girlfriends, each on her own path to self-discovery as they brave the turbulent journey together.
Yep.
It
Could any of
runs.
them set fire to things with their mind, or does
No,
it not stay? Okay.
that's right. That's why it only ran 4 seasons, and Alyssa Milano left after 2 seasons.
Yep.
That's the punchline. So no, of the four women, the four leading roles, one of them was Yoon Jin Kim,
Oh,
who of
really?
course is Son from
Yep.
Lost. I just would do my usual little bit of research for this episode, and it just keeps coming back at you.
Yep.
So Karen the psychologist was played by Yoon Jin Kim. Over on Nine, they're watching Big School, 310,000. This was like a David Williams post Little Britain
Okay. Yeah.
comedy.
All right.
Over on 10, Blue Bloods. Blue Bloods is
Yep.
always on, 236,000. Then over on SBS, it was, of course, another episode of Community.
Mm.
I tried to do some digging on this. I think it was the last sort of seasons, or the sort of post Dan Harmon.
Okay.
Dan Harmon may have come back.
Yep.
No one's what you probably, the DVD's coming out before it even is
Yep.
shown on the TV. So, but yeah, it did remind me to check out that Chevy Chase special.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what was happening on TV at the time. But Dan, your memories of the finale? How did you go about watching this unspoiled?
I rapidly downloaded an illegal copy and watched it as soon as possible, so I couldn't be spoilt. And yeah, it was as I kind of alluded to in my summary there. The way it kind of all went off clockwork style was. I think a few people complained that it was almost too easy for Walt in this final episode, but
Yeah.
I don't really mind the kind of clockwork conclusion to a series. I kind of liked him just tying everything up so neatly. I find it very satisfying to watch things click together like that. So
Yeah.
it may not be particularly realistic, but I did enjoy it. I think the only thing I don't really love is the machine gun, which
Okay.
that always felt a little bit too 80s action movie for the show. The fact that he's got this machine gun, but yeah, anyway, I think that's the only bit that kind of rubbed against me a bit. It's like, I don't know, I don't really need to see a massive gun going off and shooting everybody dead. But
Well,
I'm not sure what else they could do at that stage. They'd written themselves into a corner with the machine gun.
yeah, because apparently obviously that's included in the opening scene of
Of the
season
season, yeah.
5, which is kind of like 2 years long, and apparently they didn't know how the show was going to
No,
end at
I'll
that
go
point.
into that when we talk about the podcast a bit later. But yes,
Yeah, okay. That's interesting, because there is only one thing in this episode that doesn't work for me, but it wasn't the machine gun.
okay,
I always thought it was kind of different enough that while we've had explosive endings before, they always still, Breaking Bad always still felt very like, oh yeah, this could happen in the real
yeah,
world kind of thing, even though it's still quite heightened. I think it's just because I never really the neo-Nazis as a bit, it's a little bit disappointing when
yeah.
you've
Had
had
Gus Fring,
Hank, and
yeah,
you've had Gus Fring, and you've had these proper sort of villains, and he would always climb the rung. And I guess, I don't know, maybe that's life. You go high enough, eventually you get to the Nazis.
yeah.
Like that's
Well,
like,
maybe let's not make any political statements here, Chris.
okay. Yeah, but I because I remember you sort of saying, like, oh, you were talking about what incredible scheme can Walt get up to? How can he outsmart his enemies? And I do like that this episode is him just going around, and like, they'd sown the seeds,
Yeah,
and it's him just going around, and it's kind of one move after the next, and I thought they were all just the right amount of, like, I remember having the conversation with friends and co-workers that, I reckon he's going to put the ricin in the stevia, but we didn't know for sure, right? And so it was satisfying when it happens, even though it's a little bit predictable. And then with the machine gun, you're just like, well, yeah, okay, fair enough. He's got to take on quite a big group of guys there. The one thing for me that doesn't quite work is like the Gretchen and Elliot scene, who, again, I don't see it, like, you almost forget about them, and then they kind of come back into the story. But the part where the hitman part, and Walter gets to kind of gloat a little bit, feels a little bit unnatural to me. I love the idea of the trust. Like, I can't get this money to my family, so I'm going to use a trust. I'm like, that's smart. I wouldn't think of that.
Yep.
And the way that he says not a single dime of yours
Yes.
can be spent
Yeah.
to make
Still
that happen.
incredibly proud. Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yes. But then when he does the whole kind of like he's standing behind him and he's patting him on the back and they're kind of wetting themselves from these two fake. It's just that's the one bit for me that was a little bit
Right. Okay.
over
See,
the
I
top.
didn't mind that. I think I was, yeah, I rolled my eyes perhaps a little bit when that first happened. I was just like, where do you find these hitmen? And then
Yeah.
then when it's like Badger and Skinny Peas, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
good gag.
Yeah, good. Everything always clever. Everything so smart. And something I've never ever forgotten is when he goes to see Skylar and he gives her the lottery ticket. Because again,
Yeah.
I just like keeping keeping your making sure that the police can't track you down. And
Mm.
we all like to think about things. How can we get away? How could you get away with this? How could you get away with that? Playing a lotto ticket.
Mm.
Just so that they're recorded somewhere, they're not written down
Yeah.
anywhere, and then hands it to Skull. I was like, that's so smart.
Mm.
But the biggest thing there is obviously for all those Skylar haters out there, this is where Walt says he finally stops lying.
Yep. 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 I did it for me. Yep.
Yep. And he says, I liked it. I was good
Yep.
at it. I felt alive. And it's the first time he's been truthful
Yep.
to her. And it's kind of amazing and I forgot how much of a capper on the series, how much of a conclusive kind of thing that is. And then
Yeah.
it's kind of like all that's left to do now is go and rescue Jesse.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. And yeah, and he does by shooting a whole heap of Nazis.
Yes. Yeah.
But I kind of like even as I say that's my least favorite bit. I still enjoy it. Like it's still entertaining, and it's it's Walt nonsense.
Yeah.
Outsmarting everybody and parking the car in the right spot and having the remote control. Like that's all very entertaining. It's just it's an 8 out of 10 instead of a 9.5 out of 10 for me.
Yeah. Or not a 9.8.
Yeah, not a 9.8. Yeah.
No. It is interesting that Jack, I was like, this is, you mentioned Bond-esque villainry. Again, if it's not for Jack's just dumb villain, like, hang on a second, you calling me a chicken here?
Yeah. There was a little bit of that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like otherwise he's dead. Like Walt could be boom, dead.
Yep.
I remember the feeling of, so obviously Walt gets shot, and I think that again, this is amongst like the office chat and even myself. I always wanted the series to end with Walt and Jesse just cooking meth and happy days, right? But that's
high
not
fiving one another, just like
yeah. That's not the show, right?
No.
If you've been watching it properly, that you know that Walt must die. He's been a terrible person, and even the last act of abuse with Jesse when he wants Jesse to kill him.
Yep.
Which is kind of like that's because this is it's a story of a toxic relationship, of an abusive relationship.
Yep.
And it's almost like one last act of abuse to put that on Jesse.
Yeah.
To kill him, and Jesse defying that.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not going to carry that burden. Driving off. It's amazing. And then but I do remember everyone being disappointed because I watched this in a group setting, which was a big mistake. We had like a bit of an office party. We had some pizzas. We all sat down, and the very fine people at Foxtel brought in a copy for us to watch. But it meant that people were talking, and it was a very stupid idea. I should have just gone home and drawn the blinds and watched it. But a lot of people were disappointed because they didn't want him to die. They liked this idea of him going off and cooking or maybe being this mysterious guy. But no, of course, it's the right ending. He's supposed to die. That's he's a terrible, terrible person.
Yeah, I think there are other really cool things in the episode. Like as he's tying everything up, there's all these great callbacks, and loads of them are really cool. I think my absolute favorite was, and I'd forgotten about this even as I rewatched it for this episode, was the Lydia ringtone on Todd's thing being the reason he picks it up and answers it. Like, and we'd seen the ringtone before, and you just said, "Oh, isn't that a quirky piece of stuff from Todd?"
Very Todd.
And it turns out, no, this is absolutely key because they mentioned this in the podcast. Just like they couldn't work out a way for him to speak to Lydia like after this thing unless unless there was a reason to pick up a dead man's phone. They thought it would be too obnoxious for him to call her up and gloat. But they had to find a reason why he would pick up Todd's phone, and it's just like, well, if he knows it's Lydia somehow and through these ringtones,
He'll do it.
they seeded
Yeah.
it all. It was just brilliant stuff.
Yeah, just a bit of last minute gloating. I did watch. So when he does get to the scene in the diner and he's rearranging his bacon into the 52, I stopped. I went back to episode 1.
Yep.
And I rewatched. And of course that, when he's in New Hampshire, you see the license plate, live free or die.
Yep.
And of course, season 5, episode 1, the first episode is called Live Free or Die, which was a nice bit of synergy. But it's also one of those things, one of those TV tropes that always bothers me. They looked really yum. Sit down and eat your bacon and eggs.
Yeah.
That's okay. You can sit down and have something to eat. It's
no. That is a trope.
Well, this amazing TV show, and I'll a small confession, Dan, because I remember when this ended, there was the only sort of criticism I read was, "Hey, come on, how do you do Jesse like that? You've done Jesse dirty." And I'm like, "Oh, what do you mean he escapes, etc." He's such a massive part of this show.
Yep.
And the character kind of deserved more, and so they made El Camino, the movie, and I've never seen it.
Oh, really?
No, never seen it. I think when I heard that it was announced, because there was all these rumors like, oh, they could do a movie or whatever, and again, it was the wrong crowd that were like, yeah, let's get Walt and Jesse back for for what? What on earth could you do? And then I was like, oh, I don't know, just leave it be. And I didn't watch Better Call Saul until maybe the show was almost over.
Oh, really? Okay.
And so I did start watching, and I did that because I'd heard from people that the show was great and that you wanted to avoid spoilers. And so obviously I've seen that now. That's amazing. But I've just never had the
mate, well, I think we have homework for you for next time.
Yes, it's so here's my homework. I'm definitely gonna watch El Camino between now and
I watched it when it first came out. I've never watched it again, but I thought it was good.
Good.
Like, I wasn't blown away, but it was good. It was definitely worth watching.
I think that was part of it. Is that I didn't hear people saying this is a must. A must watch.
So I have a theory that I recall about the finale that went around.
Yeah.
If you want to hear about it,
I'd love to while we're discussing endings. Yeah.
So there were a couple of kind of obvious theories that people pointed out. Like everybody pointed out that Felina was an anagram of finale. So everyone's like, "Oh, look at that! Isn't that very clever?" and a few even cleverer people pointed out that Felina broke down into Feli and Na, which were the chemical symbols for iron, lithium, and sodium, which they claimed corresponded to blood, meth, and tears. It's like, all right, okay, that feels forced to me. But these are also the same creators who famously kind of had the titles for season 2 spell out the climax of that season. So you're aware of that, right?
I don't think I'm aware of that.
Okay, so if you remember season 2 was the one that ended with the plane crash.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. And throughout that season, like 4 episodes opened with like the pink teddy bear in the swimming pool. And those 4 episodes were called 737, down, over, and then ABQ, the symbol for Albuquerque. And so they spelled out 737 down, over, Albuquerque. And so that was just a little teaser they threw out there for people who are paying attention. And this is something I found while researching that, reminding myself of that. The actual, so this kind of alluded to an actual real life 1986 Aero-Mexico midair collision, and the actual air traffic controller involved in that was named Walter White. So I have no idea whether they knew that, whether that's just a weird coincidence or what. But anyway, that wasn't what I was going to talk about.
Sure.
I just thought they were kind of some of the theories that went about. But the other theory that kind of caught my mind was, there were, as I mentioned, there were some critics who said, the finale was a little bit wish fulfillment, everything resolving a little bit too neatly. And comedian Norm Macdonald came out with this theory on Twitter. He said, Walt never left the car in New Hampshire. So the keys falling from the visor that kind of let him start, Nah, they were kind of the beginning of a deathbed fantasy for him, and everything that followed was just like the dying dream of the most wanted man in America. And he had all these arguments. He said, "Look, Walt, no one sees Walt. He's unseen at the Schwartzes.
Mm,
Basically, he's invisible in Skylar's apartment for half the thing. He's invisible before he bumps into Lydia, and
yeah.
he's just like, all right, he's kind of a bit of a ghost." And
Mm,
and Gilligan has never definitively said the theory is not true, but I don't really think it is. But it's just kind of I think this happens a lot in pop culture. People always go,
yeah.
"Oh, I reckon they died. This is just someone who died 4 hours ago, and the rest of
Sure.
the story is just a fantasy."
Yeah.
But
They've been dead the whole time.
yeah,
Yeah.
they've been dead the whole time. Yeah. So
Yes, yes,
yeah,
yes.
it was an interesting theory that I just thought I'd throw into the mix there. That Walt actually never did any of these things. That's why everything fell into place so neatly, because
Mm.
it's just all his fantasies coming true.
I mean, if even if not, it's a nice sort of metaphorical framing of like, here we go, right? Like he
Yeah.
says, just let me get home,
Yeah.
and then boom, it's almost like, okay, now permission to Walter White everything, and
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And
absolutely
and of
nail it.
course the norm theory that it was all a dream doesn't actually explain how El Camino happens. So I think that's a
Okay.
that's a bit of a problem with it.
Ah, poor Norm. I do enjoy Norm, but I did not know him for his TV theories.
No, he was a better comedian than TV critic, perhaps.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I had a bit of trivia here. Do you know what the final scene they ever filmed was for Breaking Bad?
No, I don't.
So the last proper scene they ever filmed was the flashback that opens Ozymandias.
Oh, I did know this, yes, because they mentioned that on the podcast. Yes, I did know that. Yeah.
Yep, yep, because they've got like obviously Walt is back to they've back to season one.
Yep.
They're in the RV.
Yep.
He's got the mow and everything. So
Yes.
in order to do all that, they filmed that last, which is quite sort of poetic that
Mm,
they were able to go back to the beginning and film that. But technically, that wasn't the last thing
right.
that they filmed, right? Because you've got like your primary production, but then you might have like your second unit or
Yep.
whatever, just going out and doing background or establishment shots and things. So the last thing they actually shot was Gretchen and Elliot on the Charlie Rose show,
Right. Yes.
which means the last words ever uttered from Breaking Bad or anyone from any of the scripting was when I think it's Gretchen says, "Whatever he became, the sweet, kind, brilliant man that we once knew long ago, he's gone."
Oh, there you go.
Amazing.
Very deep.
So I think I mean, that wraps up the show.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of postscripts. Although, was there anything else from the podcast?
Yeah, I had a quick listen, and basically, it was like they did talk about the machine gun a lot. They said, "Look, we dropped it in for episode one, had no idea what we were going to do with it really, but they thought it looked cool." And then, and they basically said, "Look, we had to invent the Nazis as the villains because you don't need a machine gun to take down one person. Like you need to take down a whole heap of people." So they needed a group of people awful enough to justify being machine gunned down. So they kind of worked for that, and they
Hmm.
had a whole heap of terrible ideas. Vince Gilligan went through. He said at one point they were talking about Walt doing like a Terminator-esque raid on a police station to bust Jesse out, and they said nah, that's no good. And there were a whole heap of other terrible ideas he mentioned. And he did talk about how the writing team was given the time to work through all these bad choices and get rid of them before coming up with better
Yep.
ones. And
Yeah.
so think about that next time you're complaining about the waiting time until season 2 of Pluribus or something.
That's great. Now, I thought it would be interesting to look. I know in our first Breaking Bad episode in Ozymandias, I talked about some of the awards the
Mm,
show that episode had won, but I wanted to capture everything, Breaking Bad as a whole. So
yep.
172 wins on, the award circuit from what
Mhm.
we know, like your Screen Actors, Directors Guild, Critics' Choice,
Golden Globes.
Peabody's,
Yep.
yep, all of that stuff. The series itself for the Emmys would won the outstanding drama series in 2013 2014, which is
Yep.
basically season 5. What's really interesting is they don't really get much recognition until the end.
Right.
And then as it all kind of comes raining down.
Yep. Return of
Uh,
the King style.
yes. Except for Bryan Cranston. So Cranston was nominated. So he won 4
Yeah.
lead actor Emmys. Aaron Paul won it 3 times. Anna Gunn won it twice. But then at the Golden Globes, Cranston was the only one to
Okay.
win a Golden Globe, even though he was nominated 4 times. The series itself was nominated for that 5th season, both parts of the 5th and final season, and it did win in the very, very end. So again,
Okay.
there's a bit of a gold watch situation there. So they're basically losing to like Mad Men, Boardwalk Empire, Homeland. These are the shows of the time. But I thought, what about my favorite? What about the Monte Carlo Television
Yes.
Festival?
This is
What
what we've
about
been waiting for.
what about the Golden Nymphs? So, as we know, the Monte Carlo Television Festival is run by Prince Albert II himself,
Yes.
the Golden Nymphs, and so
A Norm Macdonald-esque TV critic.
yes, because you just get shit nominated from everywhere. They'll have 3 nominees, they'll have a dozen nominees.
Yeah.
So the final season did win Best Drama
Mm-hmm.
at the Monte Carlo Television Festival. There were 12 shows nominated that year.
So beat out a lot.
Yeah, that's a tough competition. So I'll go through it really quickly. So your Best Drama Series nominations were Vermist, which was a Belgium TV series.
Yep.
Bomb Girls, which is from the UK, as far as I could tell. Borgen, which was Danish.
Right.
The Killing, Danish. I think that would eventually be remade into an English or American co-production. Love Hate, which was an Irish production. Hatsukoi, which is Japanese. The Blue Rose from our friends over in New Zealand.
Yep.
Downton Abbey, Doctor Who, both obviously English productions. Cappadocia, which is a Mexican production.
Right.
And then Homeland, which a show that I believe nobody talked about after the first season. But
the first season was great. I don't think I watched anything. I might have watched a handful of episodes after that, but it quickly dropped away. But the first season was awesome.
Yes, and that's just one of those shows that would just never go away. It would always nominated. Cranston did get a win for outstanding actor in a drama series. He only had to compete with 4 other men that year, all from the above series. But Anna Gunn missed out on a Golden Nymph. She was up against 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. She had to compete.
This is the best awards show of them all. This is definitely my favorite.
Look, there were only 5 men that they deemed worthy enough to vie for lead actor,
but 9 women.
Yeah, 9 women that were in contention here, and I'm assuming it's in order of because their names listed second here, and I like to think that they put them in first, second, third, fourth, all the way down the bottom. So Anna Gunn missing out to Sophie Grable, who was from The Killing. So that was, I just had to pop over to Monte Carlo for that one. A couple other elements, like if you just want to talk about the legacy of Breaking Bad here, there's a couple of articles I looked up on greatest TV shows of all time. I don't know if we'll ever come back to this type of, we've started with some pretty elite television here, Dan. So I thought Rolling Stone magazine, you're familiar with Alan Sepinwall's work?
I am.
Everyone, yep.
There was a book that came out long ago that was like the 100 best TV shows of all time, I think, or 50 best, 100 best. I can't remember what it was now, but I definitely read it. And I think Sepinwall was one of the writers. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so he's credited solely for this article from 2022. This is from 2022. Alan Sepinwall's 100 greatest TV shows. I'll give you the top 10. Let
me see if I can guess a few, because
I'll
see what I can remember from this book.
I've given away number 10.
See if they overlap.
All right,
I think the top 4 was something like, and I can't remember the order: The Simpsons, MASH, Cheers, and Sopranos. Are they all in there?
Everything except for MASH.
Okay, no MASH. Okay,
no, I believe it's on the list, just not in the top 10. Yeah. Sorry. So number 10 was Mary Tyler Moore, the Mary Tyler Moore show. Yep. Number 9, Atlanta, which I haven't gotten. I think it just jumps around.
Sure that's aged. Yeah, that seems like an of the moment pick. I'm not sure.
And I feel like it's never on the one streaming service, so I've never been able to really sit down and get into it. Number 8 was Cheers. Number 7, Mad Men. Number 6, Seinfeld.
Oh, yes, of course. Yep.
5, Fleabag.
Oh,
which
okay.
again
Good
could have
watch
been a little bit
remake.
of the moment, but
Yeah.
very good show. Number four, The Wire.
Hmm.
Number three, Breaking Bad. So Breaking
Yes.
Bad, number three. Number two is The Simpsons,
Mm.
and number one, The Sopranos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Were you a big Sopranos
I
guy, Dan?
I have never watched The Sopranos, never
Well, there you
seen
go.
an episode. I had an idea for something which I don't think I'm ever going to do now. So I'll tell you what it was. I was going to do on my Substack or a podcast. I never decided what format it would take. I was going to do something called the Synapos, in which I would watch every episode of Sopranos from last to first and see if I could work out what was going on. But I never got around to doing that. But I thought that would be a funny idea.
That's a lot of effort.
It does seem like a lot of effort, which is probably why I didn't do it. But it did strike me as an amusing thing to do, given I'm one of the few people who has never seen the show.
Yeah, he's never seen it. Well, you've got a lot of homework to do. X-Files,
Yeah,
Sopranos. If you had to flip a coin, which one would you watch next?
I'd probably watch Sopranos before I watch the X Files.
Yeah. The other one I looked at was Empire magazine, so a bit more accessible, a bit
Mm,
more, this is just the generic editorial team, but this is
yep.
from February 2026.
Okay. Very
So
recent.
this is their
So, what
um
of the moment shows do they have in there that may not age as well?
well, not of the moment, but I think this gives you an indication of where they're at, their mindset is at, because number 10 is Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, okay. Right. We're in a
Uh,
whole different realm here.
Yes, yeah. Number nine, here you go. Number nine, the OA. So this is a show that was on Netflix. I think this has only been in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Some people in a I think in maybe a mental institution or
Right.
something. I haven't seen it, but I was like, okay,
No.
yes, that's of the moment.
Yes.
Number eight, Better Call Saul.
Okay. Yeah.
Number seven, The West Wing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
West Wing was fine. I don't think it's top seven.
it gets there's some people that really continue to stand for that show.
I did enjoy the West Wing. I used to watch the West Wing live. Like I watched it
Yep.
in the 90s when it came out. Yeah, it was enjoyable stuff.
Number six, Friends. Were you a big Friends guy?
I've probably seen every episode of Friends. I wouldn't say I'm a big Friends guy, and yet like I've seen them
Yeah,
all.
you know
So
all the stuff. You can quote all the
I
things.
was on a break,
You,
all that
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Number five, Succession.
Oh, yeah, good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Number four, The Wire. So number
Wire's
four.
always number four. The Wire.
Number three, Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Which is, I think people are too harsh on Game of Thrones. Like that's a pretty incredible show for a
It
good
was it
sort
was
of
a, it was a very good show for a very long time.
big chunk. Number two, Breaking Bad.
Yep.
And then, of course, number one, the Synapos
The Synapos. Yep.
Sopranos. So, yeah, obviously, all these years later, like, and I love the idea. Actually, really good that we do have these streaming services now. And for someone a bit younger or whatever, going, oh, I've always heard about these shows, and you can just bang, right?
Yep.
They're all there.
Yep. Good
My
stuff.
last bit of legacy, Dan, if you'll indulge me. Did you hear? I know we had Better Call Saul. I know we had El Camino, but did you heard about Metastasis?
Oh, I haven't heard about Metastasis.
No, Metastasis, which is a slow growing cancer. That was the name for the Colombian version of Breaking Bad.
Right.
So this is starring Walter Blanco.
You're making this up.
I'm not making this up. Jose Rosas, Jesse Pinkman.
Yep.
This is a shot-for-shot remake of all
You are
5
making
seasons.
this up. This
I
cannot
know.
be true.
This is you can look this up. All 5 seasons of Breaking Bad. They made all 5 seasons, 62 episodes, right?
Yeah.
But they shot it in 3 months in Bogota.
Was this licensed or they just did it?
This is licensed. If you go to the IMDb page, Peter Gould, Vince Gillen, they're all credited. They must have slipped them 5 and said, "Can we just do this?"
Oh, that's amazing. I would have respected it more if it wasn't licensed. If it was just, they just said, nah, we're doing it. Come stop us. We're putting this out on Colombian television.
So it's basically it aired as 2 seasons, 62 episodes. So they cover the whole thing. And and you get it's all there, Dan, like the pizza on the roof.
I need
You've
to
got
watch this.
Skylar, Walt Jr.,
Yeah.
Hank, Marie, they're all there. Saul
What I
Goodman.
want to know is,
Yes.
have they got into a fight with a Colombian version of Game of Thrones? Have they been downvoted?
I don't know if they ever got around to. Very hard to imagine an all Colombian Spanish speaking Game of Thrones remake.
Nah, they got to do it. Got to do it.
Remember the episode where DJ Qualls is the undercover agent? He's the real quirky looking fella.
Yep.
Yeah, even in this version, they get this really quirky looking dude to be the DJ Qualls undercover
Oh, that's so
agent.
good.
Of course, Saul Goodman, who of course is Saul Bueno
Yep.
in the show. Yes.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's all there. So what I'm going to do, Dan, is we're going to pause. We're going to pause the podcast because I'm going to show you. I'm going to give you a scene, right? It's 30 seconds, so
Yep.
we'll be right back. But this is the big moment when Todd, or Pato, as he's known in this one, remember when he shoots the kid on the bike?
Yep.
Devastating,
Yep.
right? Absolutely devastating.
Oh.
So we'll be right back after Dan has consumed just a little bit of Metastasis. Now Dan's just finished watching the scene where Todd, or Pato, shoots the kid, the kid that's collecting the spiders.
Yeah.
And it's such a horrific moment in Breaking Bad, but Dan's trying to control tears rolling from his down his rolling down his, because for some reason it is hilarious in this version of the show. So
oh, that's spectacular. That's a great find. That's my new favorite show. I want that to be like number one Seppenwall, you coward.
The only so what's also quite fun is that at the end of the show they couldn't have Nazis. It's just more Colombians. So these guys are just more ruthless. Because the whole show is sort of, shot locally on a budget. But it's all there, shot for shot. Check it out.
Super stuff. That's
YouTube has got some
magnificent.
amazing videos where they put scenes side by side because they're really shot. It's a shot for shot remake.
Fantastic. That's so good. That's such a good find. That's worth this entire podcast project.
Now, Dan, you'll be pleased to know that the Korean version of the South Korean version of Breaking Bad is in production.
Yeah, it was excellent.
No word on if he will be called Saul Goodman. We're waiting to find out, but I'm hoping we get around to the South Korean version at some point. They will be doing their
We'll have
own
to come
version.
back to that.
Yes. So Dan, I think that's as good as way. That's as good as
I think we're done.
I
think that's it for Breaking Bad.
For Breaking Bad. But something I wanted to revisit that we did on the Lost Within Lost podcast was our list within a list.
Yes, yes.
Dan, did you had an idea for a little list within a list?
I thought, Jesse had his big escape moment right at the end of this episode, driving the car through the fence. Off he goes, off he shoots into El Camino. So I thought we could probably do, inspired by that escape, our top 3 prison break moments, excluding, of course, the Prison Break TV series, because that's way too easy. So top 3 prison breaks.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's our list within a list for this time. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I don't mind, Dan. I can
go
first if you like. All right. Look, I need to get this over and done with pretty quickly because I know what you're trying to do, Dan. Because in the last episode, I think we mentioned that maybe we do, great escapes, escape from the cage, escape from prison, and I was like, oh, I know what you're trying to do, Dan. You want me to talk about the legendary Mankind versus Undertaker Hell in a Cell match from the 1998
That was
King
exactly
of the Ring.
what I was angling towards.
Yeah. See, I knew what you wanted me. You wanted me to talk about another famous wrestling cage match, the Hell in a Cell, the one where Mankind starts on the top of the cage. But obviously, I can't talk about that because that is exactly what happens. That is the Hell in a Cell match where the Undertaker and Mankind are on top of the cage.
Right.
When Mick Foley gets thrown off. And then, of course, gets thrown through the cage. And so while they never actually escape, which means I can't talk about it on this podcast.
That's a shame.
I would have loved to. But instead, I'm going to go back to 1974, Dan.
Okay.
One of my favorite TV shows, season 4, episode 6. This is The Goodies.
Oh, The Goodies, yes.
Goodies in the Nick, it's called. When the goodies, this Tim Brooke Taylor, Bill
Hmm.
Oddie, and Graham Garden.
Yep.
For those that haven't seen, just a very, very silly British.
Wonderful show.
Yeah, yeah. Would you call it Benny Hill adjacent without this kind
Better
of
than Betty Hill. Better than
yeah,
Benny Hill.
but
But
just
yeah,
with
there's a bit slapsticky, like more slapsticky than Monty Python,
yes.
although of the same era and the same kind of, fellow Oxbridge students coming
Mm,
from the same area, but they went in a more slapstick kind of area. But very,
that's
very
right.
good, very entertaining.
Yes, yes. So in this one, the police come by the goodies house and they want help getting a promotion. So the goodies say, "Well, we'll go and rob a bank,
Yep.
then you can arrest us."
Yep.
And in the end, in classic goodies fashion, they steal $4 million. They steal too much money, and so of course they end up in prison for 3 years. And the signature, of course, was their sort of sped up
Mm,
musical.
yes.
No, you'd have this great 70s groove track
Yep.
playing, and this is the one where they've got their ball and chain and they're swinging them over the fence of the prison,
Yep.
and
And
of course
then
with enough momentum they
cuts
go
to a
over the
dummy.
top. Yes, that's right. And then you get all the great sort of visual side gags with
Yep.
the ball and chain. So
Yep.
that's my
That
first.
that's an excellent call.
Thank you, Dan.
I'm going to go for my top three prison breaks. I'm going to go for The Prestige. So no spoilers on The
Oh,
Prestige, but at least one of the rival magicians spends some time in prison, and then I won't say anything more. But
right, okay.
there is one of the magicians in prison, and then at some point, perhaps less in prison. And that's all I'll say about The Prestige, because if you haven't seen The Prestige, it is a cruel thing to spoil
Hmm.
it, because it's one of the great
I
movies.
I have a prestige story, and I promise
Ah.
I won't spoil it. And I don't even know why I'm going to tell it because it doesn't paint me in a good light. Just it makes me sound like an asshole. But I remember I rented it and I sat
Mm.
there with arms folded, and
You didn't like
just
The Prestige?
I just within about 20 minutes I shouted out the twist.
Oh,
I
really?
just said it out loud. It was just one of those things where I was
Oh,
like,
you got it.
this and then yeah, and then you wonder why nobody else
Ah.
couldn't get it. And so
You're the first person
I
I know who's ever got it without
yeah.
knowing beforehand.
And 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 I just didn't like the because I guess it's there's one of the magicians goes and
Mm.
he's like, I'll just go find. I'm
Yep.
like, well, that's just silly. And I don't know, from that point onward, so I've never enjoyed. I think I need to give it another go.
Yeah,
Maybe it'll be some homework
maybe.
for later on.
Maybe. I love The
Yeah.
Prestige. The Prestige is one of my top 20 movies of all time.
Wow. That'd
Mm.
be cool. That's another podcast because
Mm.
Dan's
Yep.
top 20 movies. All right. My second Great Escape. This is from the Escape From
Mm.
genre. Escape from Monkey Island. This was
Oh, yes, the computer game.
computer game from the year 2000. This was the fourth in the Monkey Island series. Did you ever play any of the Monkey Island games?
I think I did,
And
but like so long ago that I couldn't tell you anything about it. But yes, I'm sure I dabbled in and pointed and clicked at things.
that's right. Yes,
Yep.
these were point and click adventures. I loved these games when
Yeah.
LucasArts were on a roll. It was like playing a cartoon on your
Yeah.
computer.
I got more into like the Sam and Max one, at
Yes.
least one of the Sam and Max ones. But yes.
Yeah, they're great. And it's an incredible era when the writing was so
Mm.
good. Like they would
Yeah.
write for form that it's a video game, and they
Yep.
wrote for the context in which,
Yep.
and there were people would be playing in. And in this one, there's a literal game where you trade insults, and that's part of the game. And there's a giant monkey robot in this one, and there's insult battles and stuff. So it's a
Yep.
lot of fun. I pulled out an old review
Mhm.
if you wouldn't mind indulging me. This just sent me back into a bizarre time where so I was going through all of the reviews and it said Playboy gave the PlayStation 2 version a score of 85% and said that the game captures aging Marx Brothers appeal, but with modern day flair, also having high remarks of gameplay and characters. So I don't know who at Playboy did the
Well,
review for Escape from Monkey Island, but at
yep.
one point in time, Playboy magazine had a
Had a
dedicated team of
computer game correspondent.
that's right, computer game correspondents.
Yep.
And so did Maxim magazine. Maxim, another
Mm.
one with
Scantily clad women.
scantily clad women on the cover. Maxim, however, gave the same version 6 out of 10,
Mm.
criticizing tongue-in-cheek tongue-in-cheek jokes as tasteless.
Oh.
So not
That's a hell of an indictment when Maxim's calling you tasteless.
That's right. So I just was like, wow, remember when every magazine had to have a just don't forget we need articles. We need articles. So there's my number 2, Dan.
All right, I'll give you another one. This one's not really a prison break, but it's a dude escaping from custody over and over again. So this is Midnight Run, in which
Yes.
Charles Grodin
Yes.
spends most of the movie trying to escape from Robert De Niro, and I love this movie as well. This is one of my favorite movies, and yeah, the whole point of it is that Charles Grodin is heading off to prison, but he's captured most of the time, and he just keeps escaping, and then keeps getting dragged back by De Niro, and that's a good story. So yes,
I've heard.
Did you spot the twist in Midnight Run straight away and ruin that?
No, no. I've seen it a couple of times. I do because I do love. I love Tony Martin, and he talks about this film all the time. This is his all-time favorite. He says it's one you can put it on at any time and any occasion, and it works. Or if it comes on and it's halfway through, you still sit down and you can watch, and it's such an easy watch. And
one of the cool tie-ins to Breaking Bad is that this one also suddenly has a burst of machine gun fire out of nowhere that to modernize strikes me as a little bit startling, but very 80s/90s for him to just pull out a machine gun and start shooting at a helicopter at one point. No further spoilers than that, but yeah.
Could have, I think a bit of 80s action, 80s, 90s action had to be there.
Yeah.
All right, Dan, my last escape from the cage, a prison escape. Are you familiar with the cage of death, Dan? This is a real life thing.
No.
And I should say, obviously, I'm sitting here and microphone in front of me, so I can tell the tale of having personally been inside
the
cage of death.
Wow.
Cage of Death, there's only one in the world. It's only one in Australia. It's up in Darwin. If you're ever at Crocosaurus Cove in Darwin, you can step foot inside. So now we've all heard of swimming with the sharks, right? That's for amateurs.
Yeah.
This is your only opportunity to go swimming with these giant prehistoric crocodiles, these saltwater crocs, right? So there I was up in Darwin with my partner Marina, and we're inside the Crocosaurus Cove, and we're looking at each other, and we're like, should we face the cage of death?
Oh, how can you not?
How can you not? And it's actually a perspex tube, but you go inside, and there is one of the biggest crocodiles, ugliest looking crocodile. He's behind his little cage, just waiting to get out.
Yeah.
And you get inside, and it lowers you down, and there's holes. You're not, but because the water, you need to be submerged.
Yep.
And then they drop some steak and some things into the water and some chicken, and you think, here we go. I think his name was Bruce.
Yeah, I think I've heard of Bruce the crocodile.
Yes, Bruce. And they lift up this gate, and Marina's like grabbing onto me because we're like, we've got to just remain calm. Just, we've got some snorkel gear on. We just remain calm. And this thing barely moves a fingernail. just a floating handbag comes floating past, and we're looking around and going, hang on a second. And we're looking for the zookeeper, whatever. They've buggered off because they know Bruce is
too tired.
Bruce is too tired. Bruce is a sweetheart. So we did try and rile him up a bit, but it's an experience where you and you're unsure if it's a real or a live crocodile. He just sort of floats along. You're in a perspex tube, and then after a while you're sort of looking at your watch and hoping.
Yeah.
But you get a photograph with the crocodile there. It says cage of death, and you can tell all of your friends that you survived.
That you were in the cage of death.
And you escaped the cage of death. So that's I'm here to tell the tale of how I escaped from the clutches of Bruce, the crocodile.
Yeah. Well, I'm impressed that not just with your cage of death survival, I'm also impressed that none of us mentioned the Shawshank Redemption.
Wow. Yeah.
Because I'm going to mention Rita Hayworth and Shawshank Redemption, which was the book. Which I read pretty much as soon as it came out, well before the movie ever came out.
Wow,
worth a read. Same essential story, but yeah, just told a little bit of Stephen King goodness.
Does it hit. I mean, obviously that movie is now, I think it's the number one rated movie on
Well,
IMDb.
until bloody Game of Thrones comes at it.
Well, no, this is the story. So I think it was the Dark Knight
That's right. Yes.
freaks, and I
Yeah.
can't remember what they were feuding with, but they review bombed each other so badly that the Shawshank rose up.
Yeah. Was it Godfather?
I don't
No.
I don't know, and we'll have to look this up, and maybe
Yeah.
we'll make it a bit of homework. It's a fun story because at least I mean, Shawshank deserves to be there again.
Yeah.
It's a great watch. I did think of, okay, Shawshank,
Yeah.
Great Escape,
Yeah.
Escape from Alcatraz,
Yeah.
Rorschach's Prison Escape.
I had Rorschach down as a possible nominee. I also
Yeah.
had Bridge on the River Kwai, which was they don't really escape. They in fact try and do the opposite of escaping. They'd rather stay there and build the bridge. But
Yeah.
it's kind of a fun prisoner of war movie. And then the only other one I had on my list was Hogan's Heroes.
Oh, yes.
In
Yeah.
which they could escape whenever they wanted, but they kept going back in to make fun of those wacky Nazis.
Yes,
Bringing
yeah.
it all the way back to Breaking Bad, of course, with the neo Nazis.
There you go. We've gone full circle. So
Yep.
I was going to ask you, Dan, because you have a Alfred Hitchcock podcast,
We do.
Hitchpod. Did he ever do a Escape From or anything like that?
I mean, there are a lot of situations where there's a man on the run and they get into terrible situations and then have to escape from those using only their wits. There's a movie called The Wrong Man where a guy's wrongly accused, spoiler in the title, of a crime, and he's thrown in prison, but he doesn't really escape. He just has to, prove to a court of law that he's not guilty. So,
Right.
not one of my favorites, The Wrong Man. But yeah, I'm sure there is none really leap out to me. But it's mostly just men on the run trying to not get into jail in the first place.
Yeah, fair enough. Just a lot of mistaken identity. Like that was the scariest thing that could happen to anyone back in the day, that you could be mistaken for it because everyone was wearing the same suit and trench coat to the bank.
Completely indistinguishable from one another.
All right, Dan. I think that wraps us up for another episode.
Yeah, we'll call Breaking Bad done.
Yeah, we'll put that.
And then I'm assuming, based on what you alluded to earlier, that you have something in mind for where we should go next.
Yeah, I mean, Alan Moore, troublesome asshole genius, Walter White, Chevy Chase, Dan Harmon.
Yeah.
I mean, shall we let's do Community? What do you think?
Yeah, let's do something lighter fare than Breaking Bad.
Plus, also, really nailing down, especially with a sitcom, nailing down the 3-episode peak when there's
it's more episodic, isn't it? It's hard. It's hard to find a run. So I haven't run the numbers on this one, so I don't actually know what the numbers are going to be yet. Do you have any thoughts?
Well, was it season 4 when Harmon left?
Yeah, Harmon wasn't there for season 4.
I think it's going to be in season 3. Is that when do we have Dungeons and Dragons? And
that was season 2. My feeling is that Community really hits its stride in season 2.
Yep.
So I was leaning towards, they've got the double paintball episode in season 2 where it starts as a Western and then it transforms into a Star Wars parody. And I'm thinking those two back to back, plus either one before or one after, that would be my guess as to where the peak's going to be. But it might be something different. But
I'll have to find out.
Yeah.
Dan, if you can crank up your giant orange juice style machine, all the reviews and everything in there can tell us what the 3-episode and I guess people that are listening, you'll find out on the socials right before we come back again.
Yep. Follow us on the socials and you'll find out what those episodes are. Then you can watch them and then you can listen to us talk about them.
Yeah. Search for Peak Streaks and you'll find us.
Yep.
I guess until the next episode, Dan, thank you for listening and cue the outro.
Thank you for listening to Peak Streaks. If you have any feedback, we'd love to hear from you. If you disagree with the data or reckon there was a better 3-episode run or just want to share your memories of Breaking Bad, send us a note via email. peakstreakspodcast@gmail.com, or you can find us on the socials at Twitter or Blue Sky @peakstreaks. Are you the one who knocks? Come and say hello.